Greetings everybody, welcome back to the vlog. My name is Filip Latocha, and today we're going to be talking about the Nike Pegasus 37 and the Pegasus Turbo 2, comparing them face to face on pros and cons, how the shoes differ, and the billion-dollar question of which one's the better everyday trainer. So, before we get into it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're riding a wave right now of new views, new subs, and yeah. So, without further ado,
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me, cause she got a bad little waist. And we tearing down this place, off the liquor that we chase. Got some egos to the face, baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on that tight frame. All game, no shame, baby came here to play. I feel like an addict cause she's sex, drugs, cocaine.
water. That's probably key. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I'm definitely feeling under the weather, so I'm gonna drink a lot of water during this vlog. You probably just won't see it in most cases, but anyways, yeah, let's go for it. So, Pegasus 37 and Pegasus Turbo 2. Let's start with the Peg 37. So, this particular Peg 37, it does have an offset of about 10 millimeters, so it's kind of high as a stack height, depending on what type of runner you are, but it is, in my opinion, a very comfortable ride overall. So the weight of this shoe, this is where things are a little bit questionable depending on what type of runner you are. The average weight of this shoe is about 10 ounces, which ends up being about 280 to 83 grams there. It does have React foam running through the midsole of the shoe, looks like about all the way through, and the shoe's signature specialty is the air pocket that it has in the shoe, which I believe to previous Pegasus lineup shoes is a lot wider than the average pocket. This in turn has given a very springy effect in a lot of my runs, and as you can probably tell, I've been very generous with shredding this shoe as it has 400 plus miles. I do have a video talking about the end of life of this particular pair of Peg 37s. I've never rode a shoe to this absolute wear minus like a Vaporfly Next percent, so this shoe in specific definitely gets high praise in my book. The upper is definitely this thick material, which isn't really translucent. It's very much opaque, very tough. Definitely has lasted the trials of running outdoors for as long as it has. No wear and tear on it. It is true to size when you wear it, so it does have a little bit of flex if need be, but the actual forefoot of the shoe is pretty snug, I'd say. It's not too wide or too narrow, I'd say. Overall, that fit is pretty good. The laces are a pretty standard lace up here, and then of course the shoe tongue itself has been Nike's signature offset tongue to the outside of your foot. Again, it's a very comfortable tongue as far as I'm concerned. The collar of the shoe in this case, not a huge amount of material on it, but a lot more than some other shoes on the market. I would say it's enough for a very comfortable ride. It's not too snug, it's not too loose. I think overall it's just pretty good with any type of sock you ultimately wear. So let's get back to the bottom of the shoes, because this is going to be really important moving forward. So I praise Nike for definitely putting a lot of rubber on the outsole of the shoe. As you can tell, I do have a pain point here in this particular area of the Peg 37, which allowed me to basically push this thing past 400 miles. And that rubber is completely gone, and it's basically down to the React foam, which I guess I can't really ask for any more rubber than there really is on it. I think the shoe did its job right about there. But yeah, all this rubber here on the outside, very good. Now, the insole rubber in this area here, this is where I was doing some research, I guess, later on with the shoe, because I have a second pair of Peg 37s, which feel very different to this pair. And I guess the thing we need to discuss and explore is the difference between the traditional rubber and the sticky rubber. And in my opinion, this is the sticky rubber that existed on the Peg 37s with the initial launch in April and May time of 2020. So that makes this particular Peg 37 overall very comfortable, very snappy shoe to run with, and overall as an everyday trainer, I thought it was a really great run overall. Now, let's talk about the Peg Turbo 2s. So I've already made a couple of videos on this shoe, and I kind of have my thoughts on it, but I will kind of just go into a deep dive into this comparison video as well. So first things first, let's go over general specs. The offset of the shoe is about 10 millimeters across, very similar to the Peg 37s as well. The shoe does weigh about 7.2 ounces, which makes it significantly lighter than the Peg 37, and that puts it also at about 215 to 210 grams on average. Again, this is a size 8.5, so those numbers might be slightly less than what you might see online per se. In terms of the bottoms, this is the signature Pegasus Turbo bottom that the shoe's been running in the version 1 and the version 2 in this case. And overall, this is a very comfortable ride. It's very friendly on the roads. When we're starting to talk a little bit more about like light gravel and dirt, that's where we're going to start asking questions in terms of whether you want to use this particular shoe with this rubber. But overall, still very comfortable on the roads. If we're talking foams, we do have the Zoom X running at the bottom here, and we do have a React on the top layer. In terms of the tops, we do have this translucent mesh upper, which again is very flexible, very durable at this point in time. The toe box could feel like it's running a little bit wide. For the most part, it doesn't feel like it in my case, but I'm sure some people might feel that way about it. So again, if it does feel too wide, just drop the half size and see how it goes. Again, the tongue is very similar to what Nike's launching currently, which is this offset tongue to the outside of your foot, and it is a very comfortable tongue. Unlike its predecessor, the collar is a lot thinner, less material on it, but it does feel a lot more snug than the extra cushion that they had on the original Pegasus Turbo. That being said, you can wear a thin sock with the shoe and you'll still have a really good time. Even a thick sock will do just fine. This collar on the shoe will hug your foot just fine, and it will give you a smooth ride overall. So, here's the billion-dollar question. Which one is the better everyday runner, or everyday trainer in this case? My answer for you is that it depends, and I'm going to explain why. So, as I mentioned before, with the bottoms of the Peg 37, I'm convinced this insole rubber here is the sticky rubber that's available for the shoe, whereas the Peg 37 insole on this particular model, which came out, I believe, 2-3 months later, this color scheme, I believe, is the Tokyo Marathon series. I could be completely wrong about that, but I digress. The rubber on this particular Pegasus 37 is like, I think, the traditional according to the website, and it's a lot tougher, and I don't know, I just don't like this one nearly as much as I like the original Peg 37. And it's very noticeable on my road runs. It's very noticeable on gravel runs. So when I took this out into like elevation training, it was very noticeable that this shoe was just not comfortable. It didn't have the same springy feel that the original Peg 37 had that I bought. This Peg 37 just didn't have the roll that I thought it was going to have, similar to the first Peg 37 I had. So it's almost like the shoes are built with slight different nuances to them that ultimately made the second release of the Peg 37 just flop slightly. So if you're one of those runners who bought this particular pair a few months after the original Peg 37 was launched, or you're buying something now, which I can't really speak for, it's very possible that you might just have a really dull experience in the Peg 37. It might just feel lunky, it'll just feel heavy, you won't feel the spring that I think the initial launch had in the shoe, which ultimately caused it to have, you know, a 400 plus mile ride of which every mile I enjoyed. And then in this one, I just barely take it out for any runs. As you can tell, the rubber is like very much still in a good spot after, I think the shoe has about 50 to 70 miles on it. So if we're talking which one would be the better shoe for everyday training, there's a lot of it depends in terms of the conditions you run in. So if we're talking strictly roads, it would be my opinion that both shoes are very good for strict roads. They do have their advantages and disadvantages. So the Pegasus Turbo 2 being a slightly lighter shoe makes it a lot more of an easy ride, a little bit less stable in my opinion, but if you're pushing it to like more of a tempo pace, you do eventually kind of get like the neuromuscular feel of the shoe quite down. If you've run in like the Pegasus Turbo series shoe before, it has a unique feel to it that you'll immediately adjust to, which in this case will make it a very fun ride. However, the problem is when you start taking this on light gravel, maybe potentially some dirt, or more rocky terrain. I think this is where the shoe performs, in my opinion, the worst. I think this Zoom X and React here in the midfoot is just way too thin for a comfortable ride on those terrains. And I've experienced that firsthand multiple times when you just step on like a few small rocks and you just feel it just drill right into your foot. And yeah, it's just not comfortable on those terrains. But strictly road, not bad at all. Now, if we're talking Peg 37, there's a lot more flexibility and more forgiveness in terms of terrains that you can run in as an everyday runner. Is this marketed as a trail shoe? Definitely not. It is still a road running shoe, but it can handle some of those rockier terrains a lot better, in my opinion, than the Peg Turbo 2. So again, on the road, this air pocket in the shoe has a lot of spring and a lot of catch on the road, which gives you a nice springy feel, and it obviously kind of offsets. It kind of makes you forget that the shoe is 10 ounces, and you do have this spring feel to it ultimately. And of course, because there is so much React foam all across the shoe, and we have a lot more rubber on the outsole and the insole of the shoe, it is my opinion that when you are running on a more gravel-esque surface, you won't feel that gravel nearly as much. The shoe is a lot more forgiving on gravel surfaces. You can see that in this upper forefoot area, there's a lot more gravel that did scrape the shoe and ultimately just really polished out that rubber. But I have taken this on light gravel and I haven't had too many issues with it. In the case of the second pair of Peg 37s I owned, this one I definitely took on more gravel-esque runs when I was out in elevation, basically running up ski lifts and stuff. The traditional rubber that I think is on this shoe, it's a lot more firm, so it kind of prevents the gravel from really drilling into your foot, and it's really just helping you get that grip into the ground that you're looking for. And it's probably because these lugs are also tall enough on the shoe where it'll help you in a gravel-based run a lot better if you had to put yourself in that situation. But again, I can't prove it with these two particular shoes right now, but I'm certain that this is a more traditional Pegasus 37 insole rubber versus this gooey rubber on this end, and that is ultimately creating a night and day difference between both Pegasus 37s. So, with the final conclusion there for this particular video, how would I rate them as everyday trainers? Well, here's how I would do it. My first pick would be this Pegasus 37. That's my hot take, of course. I enjoyed this as an everyday trainer when I still had life in it. And yeah, ultimately, this was my everyday trainer for basically the spring and summer seasons, and I enjoyed this shoe a lot. This would be my personal pick, followed by the Peg Turbo 2, which, because I'm still putting in a lot of miles in this shoe, I haven't fully developed the 400-mile end-of-life, I guess, reflection on this shoe, because we still have to put in a lot more distance to see how it's ultimately going to feel in the longer run. But as far as I'm feeling with the shoe right now, it is my second pick because it is just slightly thinner, and despite the weight, the terrain that I do kind of run in the city sometimes requires a slightly thicker shoe. Granted, there is a lot of trail that is more road-based, and that's where the shoe will definitely shine the most. But we do have instances where I'm running on gravel and just kind of need that extra support. And then this Peg Turbo 2, I would choose over this Peg 37. Obviously because of what I mentioned before with this traditional rubber just not boding well with this shoe and just giving it this lunky ride, almost like the Tempo Next Percent if you didn't know how to run in it. And yeah, I just haven't run in this shoe since. Maybe there'll be an instance where I do, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get back into the Infinity React pair that I have well before I get into this one at this rate. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's kind of where I'm sitting with these shoes right now in my 1.0 reaction, we're going to say. If you did enjoy the video, please like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let me know in the comments below which one you think is better. And do you agree with my assessment on these Peg 37s? Like, if you own 2+ pairs of them, do the 2 pairs feel different, or is it just me? Because I'm almost certain that the pair that was released in spring versus the one I bought in the late summer are just not built the same. I can't say they're not the same shoe because they're obviously not, but the feel of the shoe is just not ultimately the same. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys real soon.